And we're in.
We're in. Welcome to Mystery Team Inc.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Maggie.
And this is our last
episode of the year?
Episode of the year.
This is our holiday special.
This is our holiday special spanning all holidays.
Yeah.
From about mid-November till mid-January. We'll give it all those.
Yeah. Do you want to tell everyone what we're doing?
Okay. I'm having a lot of feelings.
Are you?
Yeah. So for our holiday special / last episode of the year, we are doing a listener mail / big fat thank you.
Listener appreciation episode.
So we've each pulled a few messages from you guys that we are going to share with one another.
Everyone whose mail we're reading has given their consent, and I'm just so excited.
I have some bangers.
Okay, so I'm going to start.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Okay. This listener mail comes from Valentine. I was just listening to episode 38, which is about the Girl Scout cookies. And I really wanted to tell you guys a whack story about our troop.
I love a whack Girl Scout troop story.
We all love a whack Girl Scout troop. It was a homeschooled troop.
No. You can do that?
Apparent-fuckingly.
I hate that.
I love that.
I don't like it.
I feel like you and I, this is what I think we should do. You and me should get like a co-op and then just homeschool, just have a few kids, homeschool them and make them have their own co-ed scout troop.
Yeah. No,
where we
gonna
just
listen to me.
Take them
Here's the thing.
to like science museums.
We're gonna have a group family
commune
with a scout troop for our children.
And a family band.
But obviously. The problem with this is not a homeschooled scout troop. The problem is the brand Girl Scout.
Yeah.
Our children are never joining a branded
That's why
scout.
I said it's like a co-ed scout troop.
And they're going to be called the Super Scouts or something.
Yeah. It's going to be more it's going to be less troop 1111 and more like the Belcher children.
When they went to restaurant camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, if I don't have a gene, I'm quitting parenting.
It was a homeschooled troop, so it was super religious. And I was the only one who was not insanely religious in our troop. So this makes it sound like it was a bunch of homeschooled children who were put into one troop together.
I thought it was
one family.
No.
No.
Just 4
That's
children.
what I want us to do.
Yes.
But this was not that.
No, but we're going to be multiple. We're going to be one big capital F family.
Correct.
With flyers.
Yeah. We're just multiple parents, but we're one family.
Aw.
Cute.
That's so cute.
Anyways, one day I am at summer camp and my friend is crying in the bathroom. And I'm like, Ayo, what's going on? And she proceeds to tell me how her mother, the leader of the troop, had just told her that they were breaking up our troop because they can't support the Girl Scout organization killing babies. Turns out the proceeds from our particular council were funding Planned Parenthood, which is pretty badass for an Iowa-based Girl Scout council.
I love that.
After that, my mom had to explain what an abortion was to me, which was a little traumatizing for a 10-year-old, to be honest. Our troop was broken up that year, and I never heard from any of them again. I love that their Girl Scout cookie money was just being donated to Planned Parenthood. That's fucking amazing.
That was a big controversy.
That's badass.
I don't like that was traumatizing to learn about,
neither.
But it is kind of forced reproductive health.
Yeah.
Education.
Right.
I didn't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm glad that you learned. I'm sorry that it was traumatizing, but I'm glad you had the opportunity to learn about Planned Parenthood at a young age.
Wow.
That's from Valentine. Thanks, Valentine.
I'm still I don't know how I feel about the Girl Scouts. Pretty negative.
Yeah, sure.
But I like that Planned Parenthood stuff.
Well, yeah, because I think, as we learned, it's a large cut of the money that comes into Girl Scouts just goes straight to the top, like a pyramid scheme. But also we learned that some of it does go to the council. So it sounds like they were just allocating their funds as donations, which I love.
I love that. I love that so much.
Me too.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is from Kurt. And they said, I just got all caught up, so I'm re-listening. New theory for DB Cooper. Do you think there's a chance he didn't jump out? Could it be possible he hid in the storage or somewhere in the plane?
Holy shit.
He seems smart enough to cover all the bases to make it seem like he did and then escape somehow. You guys made a great point that the conditions to jump were awful.
This is blowing my mind.
Is it possible?
I don't know. Like, I would have to look into, like...
You know all about planes.
I feel like as soon as they landed that plane, they probably, like, swarmed it, like the FBI. But that doesn't mean that they... Like, did they search the whole plane?
Because they were like, he jumped. And then did they, like, look?
Right.
What if he, like,
crawled
jumped
into the...
and, like, hung onto the stairs? And then when they got lower, he just, like, dropped in a completely different part of the...
That's what I was thinking that, too. And then I was like... I don't think planes are like this, but in my head, I imagined, like, you know, when the ceiling is like this, where it's like you can push up a panel and just climb into it. I was like, what if he, like, lowered the aft stairs and, like, jumped up and down to make it do the... Because they felt the, like, lift change. And then he just, like, pushed up a panel in the ceiling and climbed into it and was just up there, like, looking in through the vent.
What if his...
With his
I had a little
wraparounds.
slapstick moment in my head where he's looking down and his glasses fall. And he has a moment of like, and then they catch because they're wraparounds.
Brilliant.
He's like,
that is possible.
I think it's possible. I don't know how it would work.
Thanks, Kurt.
But yeah,
I love
thank you,
that.
Kurt. That blew my mind.
I love that. My turn?
Mm-hmm.
This is from Emily. I would just like to say before tonight's live that there was a plot point that has annoyed the hell out of me since the Eclipse episode that maybe I'm just dumb and misremembering. Sorry in advance for the long message. I thought it was canon that Jasper is the youngest of the vampires because he threw a hissy fit when Bella cut her finger in Eclipse. But he was turned during the Civil War because he was a Confederate soldier. And then in parentheses, vomit emoji. When it happened. But Rosalie was turned in the 1930s, according to Eclipse. So wouldn't she be the youngest? And if she is the youngest, why is Jasper still a little bitch when he smells blood? Thanks, Emily. So this blew my fucking mind. And then I was like, I know there's a dumb reason. There must be a dumb reason. So I looked it up.
Yes.
And what I found out is, so it's true, Jasper was turned in the 1860s. And he was not a vegetarian. Like, he was part of the... he was like an officer in Maria's newborn army, and it was his job to like kill the newborns when they were like a year into vampiredom, which we learned in Eclipse. And he started to really hate it because his power is like emotion, so he could feel his victims' emotions when he killed them.
Oh, didn't he?
So
I don't feel bad for him because he's a Confederate soldier.
Just fucking wait. So I was like, because then the other thing I was like, the real big mystery here to me is Alice, because we hear almost everyone's backstory but Alice and Emmett. So like, when were they turned, and like, what's their deal, and why does Alice love Jasper and like whatever?
She also a racist?
No, I learned that Alice's backstory is that she was turned in the 1920s, and she had like precognition even as a human, but everyone thought that she was crazy because she was like having visions or whatever. And then she had a vision that like her mom was going to be murdered, and she tried to like warn her, and everyone kind of brushed her off. And then her mom died under like mysterious circumstances. Her dad remarried. The stepmom was really mean to Alice. And then she discovered that her father like was responsible for the person who like killed her mom. Like, he basically put out like a hit on her or something. And when she figured it out, she like tried to like get someone to help, but her dad had her institutionalized in an asylum, and she underwent like a bunch of electroshock therapy and lost her memory, and it returned her to like her happy, always optimistic state. And that's like why she's like that. Then when she was in the asylum, she found out that she was being tracked by James, the same James that tracks Bella. And there was a vampire doctor at the asylum who wanted to save her from James, so he turned her.
Did you find this on fanfiction.net?
No, this is from like the fandom website or whatever.
Why is this not in the book? This is a fascinating story.
I don't know. And so then she got turned by a vampire at the asylum, and then she had a premonition that she was going to meet her mate. at a diner and it was Jasper in her vision. So she went to the diner and then Jasper like happened to be in there or whatever. And they like, that's how they met and they fell in love. But she already knew he was going to be her mate.
Did she know he was a Confederate
I
soldier?
don't think.
Can you imagine going through all of that and being like, I'm going to meet my soulmate at this diner? And he's like, some of the fucking Northerners, right?
Right.
It was about states' rights.
I know.
And you're like, oh no.
You're like, ah! So anyway, all of this is to say, and then Emmett was turned in like the 30s and saved by, he was attacked by a bear. And he was saved by Rosalie.
Why
and then
was
Rosalie,
he attacked by a bear?
I don't know. But Rosalie was like, we have to turn him, or Carlisle was like, we have to turn him or whatever. So that's why Emmett. But so everyone, so
why is none of this in the book?
To answer this question, everyone was turned after Jasper. He was actually the first one to be turned in all of the Cullen family, besides maybe, I don't know when Carlisle was turned, but he didn't become a vegetarian until the 50s when he met Alice. So he was the last one to have to learn how to not drink people's blood. And that's why he's the worst around blood, because he was like a true like murdering vampire up until the 50s, whereas everyone else like stopped eating people in like the 30s.
I just want to say that nothing
so unhinged.
Everything you said about everyone except Jasper was fascinating. And I just
why is he like the story that we get? This came from the Twilight Saga wiki.
But where did they get that from? Is it just on the FAQ section of
it must be. I don't know what the source of that is. I imagine.
I trust them.
We have to read Midnight Sun.
We really have to. Okay. So my next one is from Adelaide. This is a response to, we already had a conversation before this message where she was basically like, there's a vampire speakeasy in New Orleans. So if you're ever there, please tell me and I'll take you to the vampire speakeasy. And I was like,
that information.
Yes.
Is the one, I think I went to it.
To the vampire speakeasy in New Orleans?
Yes.
I don't know anything else about it other than that it's a vampire speakeasy in New Orleans.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's
Are there
like,
multiple?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. It is New Orleans.
Could be. But the one I'm thinking of, it's like you go in and you go up this like staircase, and there was actually a cat there on the stairs.
Aww.
And it's like on like the upper level of like one of those traditional New Orleans style buildings, and it has like a little balcony. And yeah.
Well,
and all the drinks are like vampire themed.
Oh my God. I want to go.
There was someone doing tarot there when I was there.
I wonder if they do a burlesque night.
Maybe. It's not a huge space.
Tiny burlesque night.
Yeah.
Okay. So Adelaide says, and something you guys would love to know is that New Orleanians hate Nicolas Cage because he bought a historic cursed mansion here, and then when he believed himself to be cursed, he bought a space in one of our historic cemeteries next to Marie Laveau, allegedly destroying several historic tombs. Parentheses,
what?
Each of our tombs has countless bodies in them from our families dating back hundreds of years. Mine probably has close to 50 of my relatives. And built a giant pyramid shrine to himself.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He did this because he believed Marie Laveau would end the curse that he caused on himself. He also has no respect for our culture and uses NOLA as a playground. Anyways, it would be a great episode, as not many people know about it. Not so much of a national treasure. So I looked into it, Adelaide.
I love this information.
Unsurprisingly, some of the top results are news stories about Nick Cage going to visit his own grave. So it's like Nick Cage visits his pyramid in historic New Orleans, and it's him in his sunglasses like at his own fucking grave.
Holy shit.
It's like a huge white pyramid. And etched on it are the words omnia ab uno, which means all to one in Latin.
Great.
You can pay $25 to go on a tour and take a picture with it.
Who gets the money, though?
Fucking Nicolas Cage, I'm sure.
But then I don't want to do it. I only want to do it if it's going to like the New Orleans Historical Society.
I don't know who's getting the money, but I'm 99% confident it's not going anywhere good.
Okay.
So he bought a mansion called the Lalaurie Mansion. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was owned by Madame Delphine McCarthy Lalaurie, who bought it in 1832 and was like an unbelievably abusive slave owner.
I think I visited that on a ghost
It's
tour.
on a ghost tour, yeah. So she was like very abusive to her slaves.
A lot of people died there.
A lot of people died there. It
Yeah.
caught on fire
Yeah.
and people like figured out what she was doing, and then she and her family had to flee the country. So that mansion is cursed. And then Marie Laveau is like the voodoo queen of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And she was known for healing, among other things. So Nick like bought a cursed mansion.
I cannot believe he bought that mansion.
He bought a cursed slave mansion.
That's an insane thing to do.
And then was like, oh no, I'm cursed. And then like bought up the last 2 plots in a like incredibly historical cemetery, and then put himself next to the fucking voodoo queen of New Orleans, hoping that she would cure the curse that he got from buying a slave house.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, you know that SpongeBob and Man Ray bit where he's like, I'm sorry, sir, I believe you've dropped your wallet. And he's like, that's not my wallet. And he's like, is this your ID? And he's like, yes. And he's like, so it would follow this is your wallet. And he was like, yes. And he was like, then I'm going to return to you your wallet. And he goes, it's not my wallet. That's like Nick Cage being like, I'm going to buy a cursed mansion. And they're like, all right, sir, 1 cursed mansion, curse included. And he's like, thank you. Why is there a curse in this mansion? And they're like, because it is a cursed mansion. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You bought a cursed mansion and then you were like, oops, I got cursed. Honey, I cursed the kids.
Honey, I cursed ourselves. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So that's, if any of you were thinking about having a good Nicolas Cage day today.
Today is not that day. That makes me sad because I wanted to watch that movie where
the one they shot in New Orleans.
Did they?
I don't know. They
Where
shot
he like
a
plays
movie.
himself.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's not what I'm talking about. But yeah, I also wanted to watch that. But he also did buy the last plot of a cemetery, and he parked his
Destroyed
fucking pyramid next to Marie Laveau.
And destroyed a bunch of historical tombs?
I think so. I mean, it's just so. Thank
Allegedly.
You, Adelaide.
Okay, now we have a heartfelt one. This is from Matthew. Hey, amazing duo. This might be a long email. Might as in, I don't know how long it will get once I'm done with it. I have a tendency to ramble. Also, forgive the grammatical or even other errors. I speak French first of all, so my English is not perfect. I wouldn't want to be the next, do you want clothes without wrinkles, without all the dryer hassle? You can.
You can.
My name is Matt, actually Matthew, but Matt is good. I'm from Quebec, and I have listened to all the episodes available to me at the moment. I will be reviewing your podcast to give it 5 stars as soon as I have enough energy for that. Writing to you personally was more important to me. Last August, I had to take sick leave from work because of a burnout, which ended up lasting 9 months. I'm currently going back to work in a progressive manner. It is going good. It is not easy, but I don't think waiting longer would have made things any easier. During the first 2 months, I was unable to stay alone even though I had my dog Callie that I love more than anything, and since all my family is in different parts of the province, I've had to drive a lot, like 4,000 kilometers, or 2,500 miles if you prefer, in the span of 2 months because I would go to someone's place to another. During these hours on the road, I have been listening to you, and your humor really helped forget my problems for a moment. You were basically like my friends who would stay on the phone with me to make sure I was okay while driving by myself. At the moment, I'm at episode 39 because I've been listening to them all for a second time. I realized that there were some moments I missed because I was trying to hang on to whatever will I had, so my second listen still has some fresh moments that I can enjoy for the first time. One more thing before I end the corny thank you for being there when I needed it part. I want to make sure you guys understand how just speaking about your psychological struggles and therapy can help people. It really made me feel understood and not alone. Please keep this open approach. You can only help people doing this even if you don't know it. Thank you being said, on a lighter note, I wish you guys had a shirt that's only written Step 4 Qui Bono or Who Bonos on it, because I would definitely buy it. I have also tried to be at your Tuesday lives, but in Eastern time, it's a bit late when I work early on Wednesday morning, so I always end up missing it. Last thing, if you would share a part or even the whole email, it's up to you. I really don't mind, but I would love a small shout out with your best goblin of mirth, Robert, Bobby, Alan, Shovel King Durst voice, if possible. I'm so sad I haven't heard it in a while. And this 4-part episode is one of my favorites. Thanks again. Just being who you are is an amazing thing, and you have no idea the reach you have with this inclusive and fun podcast you have. Matt, quacking a beer to cheers in your honor.
Thanks, Matt.
You're the one that does the voice, so now you have to
make me cry. Here's the deal.
Tell us how you feel.
I feel like I've said this before, but I can't do this.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I've said this before. I think I've probably said this upwards of 10 times now, but it is very much like what fucking Rachel Bloom said at the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend live concert, which you can watch on Netflix. She says, like, sharing this with people and then having people say, oh, now I don't feel so alone, makes her feel not so alone. And I feel the exact same way about this show. I run the risk a lot of being an oversharer in the real world because I'll walk in and be like, listen, I forgot my Lamictal at home. I might have a breakdown. I have bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
How are your kids?
Yeah.
You know, like super oversharing. I cry at work all the time, but it has led to my entire department now feeling safe to be like, I also left my Lamictal at home. And like, now we have a much better working experience because if we're like losing it, we can just be like, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
And we all understand. And I just kind of feel like if we can do that in all aspects of our lives, then it's easier to exist.
I agree. 100%.
So it's like really nice to hear that other people are experiencing that. And it makes me feel less alone. I will continue to overshare. I have no shame. And I'm also really happy to hear that you're feeling better. I know we got that email a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to overshare, I'd love to hear how you're doing.
And we did, I think, talk to Matt in the live. I did correspond with Matt when getting their consent to read this. So, but Matt, we'd love to hear how you're doing. And yeah, it's so important to me. It's always been important to us to be transparent about like our mental health because it's something that we always like would have liked to have. And when we did have it, it made such a difference to us.
Yeah.
I remember like when I first started listening to podcasts, hearing podcasters talk about their mental health struggles, and it made such a difference to me. And I always looked at that and was like, I want to be that person, you know, like I want to use this platform to make people feel included and make people feel like help people realize that their feelings are valid. And, you know, it's just always been like my dream to be able to be that person for someone else and pay that forward because I had that benefit. And so it just always means so much to me to hear that it is having an impact. And we always said when we first started recording this podcast on the floor of like our bedrooms that like in our like, you know, tiny apartments that like if we could like make one person's day a little bit better, like then it was all worth it. So to hear that like that it's not just necessarily like entertaining people, but also like helping people through hard times just means so much to me.
Yeah. It means a lot.
Thinking about like where we started and what our goal was. And it just, I think we both feel really, really grateful for all of our listeners and really grateful that we can be a part of your lives in some small way. And you're certainly a part of ours in a very large way.
Yeah, in an overwhelming way, like statistically. Two things about that. I remember once we got a message from someone who was like, I just started listening to your podcast and I just got broken up with or something.
Yeah.
And I think one of us said like, you'll get like, come back later and you'll be fine. And then they were like, I'm fine now.
It was funny because they were like, I'm not caught up on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's what
I just got broken up with. And we recorded an episode like 20 episodes ahead of where they were.
So bad. The real story is so much better.
No, it's not. It's just like an added element to it, which is that they sent us that, you know, in like, let's just say I'm picking a random month, but like, let's say in January, and they were like 20 episodes behind. So we recorded like the 20 episodes forward. We were like, when you like, let us know when you get to this episode, if you're better, like how it's going.
Yeah.
And like, we're sending you love or whatever. And so then they did reach out to us like 20 episodes later and they were like, I just got to the episode. Yeah.
I love that.
It's really great.
I had another thing to say, but I forgot because that story was much better than
Sorry.
Oh, here's what I was going to say. You are the reason I do that.
Do what?
Overshare.
Oh, great.
No.
Just kidding.
No, because you sharing like with even just me, like being so open about your mental health struggles, like made me dealing with my mental health. I'm going to cry.
Oh, no, me too.
It made it so much easier for me. So like recently I had the worst panic attack I've ever had in my life. And I knew that I could reach out to you. And you're like the only person who can like help me when that stuff happens. And I was like, it's sad that it's so rare. And the only reason we're like this is because we were theater kids growing up and we like overshared so much with our friends that it's just normal. And like, it always hurts me that like people don't have people like you in their lives. So I was like, if I can just run around and run my mouth and hopefully someone can come to me and be like, you told me the other day and I didn't even ask that, like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling out of my mind. Like, that's why I overshare.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And that means a lot to me. And I feel so grateful for our friendship and our friendship with like other people who we grew up with and the fact that we all of us have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us have like a safe space to express it to each other. And it's so important. Like we are the only people that we know who like get it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm so grateful for that relationship with you. And I'm so grateful that we can share that with other people too, you know, because like at the end of the day, it takes a lot of courage. And, you know, I just really have a lot of respect for anyone that can do that. So like to hear that I had a small part in that means a lot to me because I think it's
small.
Well, I think it's
I only have 3 friends, so you're at least 1/3.
I just think it's very brave of you. Like, I think it's very courageous. And you are the same person for me. And, like, you give me the courage to do that, you know? So I'm just really grateful.
I'm really grateful, too.
That we have each other and that we have this podcast and that we have these listeners. And
yeah. I would like to do something right now. And I think we should we'll flag this and we'll put the time code in the show notes. If you are experiencing emotional distress, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say out loud 5 things you can feel.
Yeah.
5 things you can hear. 5 things you can smell. What are they?
5 things you can see. Yeah.
5 things you can hear. 5 things you can feel. And then I guess open your eyes if you did close them. And hopefully the terrible job I've just done talking you down.
No, that was great.
Will have helped.
That was great. Yeah, we should.
That's what I do for Maggie
in the show notes. That is what Kayla does for me because I have a panic disorder.
Yay!
And I have panic attacks all the time.
We love that.
And if you also have panic attacks, it's going to be okay.
One of my favorite
things. It does
things,
get better. And then it gets worse again. And then it gets better. So if it's getting worse again, just know it's also going to get better.
Yeah. And if you need me to, I'll tell you to look at things.
Guys, if you are interested in like anxiety or panic coping mechanisms, I'm not certified or like we're not medical professionals, but I have so many like anecdotal things that can help. So let me know. I was going to say in the comments. I guess if you're watching this on YouTube, you can let us know in the comments. But like, I will make a video about all the things and give you all the resources. So many books I've read.
Oh, yeah.
So much information.
She can assign you so much homework.
I can give you so much homework. So if it would be helpful for you, please let me know. I'd be happy to share.
I love that. Okay, is this our last one?
I think so.
Okay. This is from Anna. Anna writes, I'm listening to the New Moon episode, and I'm really sorry that half of this episode is in Twilight, but this is who we are now. I'm listening to the New Moon episode, and I felt the need to share my Twilight Volvo experience.
Can't wait.
My car is actually a Volvo S60, which is almost the same model that Edward drives. So I totally freaked out at the dealership when I found out. My stepdad then chose to embarrass me by explaining to the car salesman, but the car man said that when the movies were at their peak, there was a Twilight Volvo promo deal.
What?
And they had cardboard cutouts of Edward and Bella around the dealership. These are both ended with 3 exclamation points. And then they shoved them into a closet, and eventually someone took them to give to their daughter.
That's great.
So the Volvo Twilight subculture is still very alive in the minds and hearts of the people.
I told you there was a Volvo Twilight, Volvo X Twilight subculture.
I want one of those cardboard cutouts so bad. And this message ends with, oh, and Eric is a composite of two characters. In the book, Glasses dates some dude named Ben who doesn't exist in the movies. So I looked up Ben on the Twilight Saga wiki. The first thing it says is that Ben is notably taller than Glasses. I mean, shorter. Ben is shorter than Glasses. And like
a short king.
He's a short king. This is a spoiler alert, but in Midnight Sun, it's revealed that Emmett and Edward manipulated Ben into going to the prom with Angela because Angela was super into him and they wanted to thank her for being nice to Bella. But but it's okay because he was also really into Glasses, so like it was fine. So they like gently nudged him, but I bet they would have manipulated him.
But what you're telling me is that actually undermines the whole purpose of Glasses, because her whole purpose is to show that Bella's a feminist by telling her to invite him to prom, and then she does, and then he goes with her.
Unclear if in Midnight Sun she still asks him to the prom.
It's
like,
just from Edward's perspective. It's still the same story. It's just from Edward's perspective.
Okay, then I have a follow-up question. To myself, which is
what did you think it was?
I
like
am
an
not
AU?
Sure. There was something that I read on the Twilight Saga wiki that was like, oh, his life and death counterpart is Becca.
Okay.
Do we have to read life and death too?
No. That's the one where it's actually just gender swapped.
Ugh, boring.
Here's my problem. You and I have been the core issue you and I have had from the beginning is that I don't think any of those characters serve the story at all. And your whole argument for them existing was, again, proving the fact that they don't need to exist, which is that they only exist to show that Bella's a feminist, which does a disservice to the characters. And now we're learning they don't even do that.
Yeah, but they did that until she wrote Midnight Sun. Like if you put just Bella and her like face next to Angela, Bella's going to end up looking like a Jessica.
Again, the purpose of a character is to serve the story, not to make Bella look the way Stephanie Meyer wants to feel. Okay, we're moving on. I just have to do a couple shout outs because, well, and also apologize because we've gotten so many emails and DMs, like over the past few years, but especially in the past like 2 years, probably since our TikTok started going viral or whatever, but like people started reaching out to us a lot. We try to read them all. We try to respond to them. There are so many. We're so grateful. I'm so sorry if you wrote us really and we haven't responded to you.
Also know that we will. We do it in like
we're like a year behind. Yeah. But we do it in like groups. But I just have to do like a couple of shout outs. If you wrote us an Epcot email, I read it. I loved it. Like we got like 10 of them and they were all great. I still don't know what Epcot is, but I appreciate everyone trying to explain it to me.
The number of people who tried to explain it and then at the end were like, I don't know either.
If we were in your Spotify Wrapped and you tagged us, thank you. There were a lot of people. I got to them like after all the stories had expired. Danny, for whom we were the #1 podcast 2 years in a row.
Yes, Danny.
And I wanted to shout out some of our live listeners who we talked to. Hattie, Eliza, Grace, Vera,
Chris.
We always have to shout out Chris. Chris is like one of our A1s since day one.
Yeah, Chris, our A1. Everyone
if I didn't mention you, then I'm sorry. Yeah, everyone who came to the lives, thank you.
I feel really lucky.
Candy. We feel very
every time
blessed.
I read correspondence or like in the Spotify live chat, I'm like, every single one of you is so funny and smart.
You should all have your own podcast.
And sometimes I'm like, Maggie, should we just let them do it?
I know. But if you have left us a review, thank you. If you've rated the podcast on Spotify, thank you. If you've commented on YouTube, thank you.
Even if you haven't done any of that,
if you just listen,
thank you for
at
listening.
all.
As someone who does not engage heavily on anything, but is like an obsessive listener, like I wish I could tell the podcast host that I'm obsessed with, like, hi, I hate engaging, but I love you. And
if that's you, we also love you.
Yeah. And you don't have to reach out to tell us. Like, we
That's
get it.
true. We do.
As my grandmother says, like, she's not a joiner. And nor am I.
Wow.
Well,
thanks everyone
we're
for
very lucky
being our listeners.
Hey, also, good job.
Hey, good job.
We've done a lot of work.
That's true.
And especially in the last 2 years, like, we have really worked our asses off, sometimes to the point of extreme burnout, Matt. So we get it.
And thank you to you for being my co-host, business partner, and best friend.
Thanks. Thanks for thanking me. I have nothing to add. Just kidding. Thank you for being my co-host, business partner, and best friend.
And you're mine. And I'm yours.
All right. Well, we will see you guys in the new year.
New year, same us.
The year of our Lord, 2023.
In the year of our Lord, Milliam.
Oh, Milliam.
2023.
I told someone we were doing a listener thank you episode. And they were like, oh, my God, they write to you that much? And I was like, bitch, they drew us a mascot based on a verbal typo I made. And he's got sneakers on and a baseball cap. Wait, does he have a baseball cap
Or did we
on?
Mandela effect that?
I don't know. I can't remember anymore.
We're going to have to look.
I think I may have Mandela affected a hat onto Milliam. I love Milliam with all my heart.
Me too.
Hattie. The things you have given us.
No, he has no hat. He has his porridge.
God damn it. Does he have sneakers?
Yes, he has
Okay,
sneakers.
then we Mandela affected the hat.
Yes, and thanks to Hattie for Milliam.
Thank you, Hattie.
And to everyone who's drawn us or sent us drawings that they did of things that we said. We love you guys.
One day we'll have a P.O. box where you can send clippings of your hair or whatever. We'll put it in shadow boxes.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. I'll start buying the shadow boxes now.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening and being here with us.
And being who you are.
Okay. Well, for the last time in 2022, we don't know.
Stay in your lane.
Buckle the buck up.
Grateful smooches.
Aw, I put a lot of pressure on you giving you that.
I fucking handled it.
Oh my God. You should be an improviser.
My imposter syndrome is so low right now. It's normally mid to high.
I couldn't even trick you into it.
But right now I was like, I got this.
I can think of an adjective.
I'm very grateful. Luckily, it was just what I already am.
Aw. All right, well, I love you.
I love you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Running through the streets, solving